The space between breaths.
Sarah slammed her office door, her hands trembling with anger.
The meeting had gone terribly wrong. Her colleague David had taken credit for her project again, and this time in front of the entire board.
The familiar heat of resentment rose in her chest, the same feeling she'd carried home last night after arguing with her teenage daughter about college applications. She sank into her chair and closed her eyes, remembering the words of her meditation teacher. The space between breaths is where peace resides.
One breath, then another.
The morning sun filtered through her window, casting a golden glow on her desk.
As she watched the dust motes dance in the light, her teacher's voice echoed in her mind. That which observes anger is not itself angry. That which witnesses pain is not itself in pain.
Sarah remembered the tear-stained face of her daughter last night, the trembling in her voice when she'd shouted, "You never listen."
Perhaps they were both right, and both wrong. Perhaps they were both just different waves in the same ocean of consciousness, each believing they were separate, each fighting to be heard. Standing up, Sarah walked to the window. Outside, a maple tree swayed in the breeze, its leaves catching the light. How many times had she looked at this tree without really seeing it? Today, something was different. The boundary between observer and observed began to blur.
Namaste, she whispered, both to the tree and to herself. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you.
Later that afternoon, she saw David in the break room, his shoulders hunched as he stirred his coffee. For the first time, she noticed the dark circles under his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands. How had she missed the signs of his struggle? The same light that danced through leaves and illuminated dust motes also lived in him, however deeply buried.
David,
He turned, surprise flickering across his face.
would you like to grab coffee? I have some ideas I'd like to share about the project. Ideas that might work better if we collaborated.
That evening, Sarah sat with her daughter at the kitchen table. Instead of speaking, she simply listened. Really listened. Not to respond, but to understand. In the silence between their words, she felt the artificial boundaries of self beginning to dissolve.
Mom, I'm scared about the future.
Sarah reached across the table and took her daughter's hand.
I know, sweetheart. So am I. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we're not supposed to have all the answers. Maybe we're just supposed to recognize that we're all in this together, all manifestations of the same consciousness, all worthy of forgiveness, all carrying the same light.
Outside, the setting sun painted the sky in shades of purple and gold. Sarah smiled, seeing the divine in the fading light, in her daughter's tears, in David's uncertainty, in her own anger. All of it perfect, all of it holy, all of it one. In the space between breaths, she found her peace.